Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about our Global Awareness Technology project, and this step is going to be grouping your information. Now, I'm telling you right now, if you don't have about 20 facts or more, this step is going to be more challenging. So if you are looking at your facts right now, because that's step number one, and you're thinking, you know what, I don't have a lot of information, I need to go back to the previous steps and kind of keep answering my questions, pause this video, keep researching, and you can come back to this when you think you have enough information, which probably will be at least 20 facts. So we're going to start looking at the facts we've collected, and our step 2 is going to be finding connections between those facts. And then once we have those connections, we're going to use those to group our facts into categories. We're going to check our question categories if we get stuck, and then we're going to give each category a title or a heading. And the reason why we're doing this is so we can figure out what categories or groups of information are going to need more facts. This is kind of like a checking point once we see what we have, so we can see what groups of information we need to kind of go back and hit some more in our sources. So this may look different if you are not in Miss Abrams' class, but my class has our step 3 document with all of our facts in it. So I'm going to look and kind of see in this middle column where I have the answers to my questions. I have some of that facts and the information that I've collected from my sources. So just kind of skimming it, we talked about the public buildings and private buildings and where they're located in the town, kind of what some of their uses were. I know a little bit about temples, because that's another type of architecture that they did in ancient Greece and what they were used for and what they looked like. And then also kind of the appearance of those public and private buildings that were not temples and how they did look different than the temples. But this is really all I have so far. I have some more information that I have not charted, but I'm going to use what I have to start making some categories and finding some connections. So one group that I kind of see is like what I know about public buildings. So I have here public buildings where people worked in offices. So I'm going to add that. Public buildings were offices where people worked. And then I saw something else about public buildings down here. The Agora was a central place for public buildings, so I can add that. Agora had public buildings. And I think that's all I know right now about the public excuse me, the public buildings. But I have some information about private buildings too. I know that the private buildings were separate from other buildings. And these homes were usually near like the city walls. And then down here, I know that the rich people and poor people had houses made of bricks, and they were simple in design. And then I also have a little bit of information about temples. Temples were big and beautiful with columns and statues. They were used in celebration, awards, and giving thanks to gods and goddesses. Temples were used in different ways, like worshiping gods and hosting celebrations. So this is not 20 facts. I already know some kids in my class would be saying, Ms. Abrams, that is not a lot of information. But just to kind of give you guys an idea, this category is really focused on like the public buildings and kind of some things that I know about maybe those areas where they were shopping or where they were working. These were more like the residential area, so like residential meaning like where they lived, so like private homes for the people, and kind of focused more on like their private homes and where they lived. And then this one was more the temples, and that's more of like the artistic side of these buildings that were really just used for special occasions. So maybe they had more of a thoughtful design and more of an artistic design to them. Now, right now, I'm kind of here on like, so step 4, step 5, looking at, I have these groups. It looks like I probably need more information about maybe my public buildings, because I have a little bit of information about kind of what they were used for, but I maybe need to still look for some examples of some public buildings. And then maybe a little bit more for the temples to kind of see, like, again, some examples and maybe where they were located. I know kind of more about where the public and private buildings were located. But I'm also thinking back to my questions, and because I know that I haven't answered all of my questions yet, I may end up having another category. So my questions are here, and I've hit some of the things like what they were used for and like where were they built. But I have this category of like the impact of them and were they famous and what materials they were using. And that's something that I still need to keep researching. So I am going to add that down here. So some things that may need more facts, but I may end up having another category of like construction, and I may need to still look for the materials and tools. So I kind of went through all of these steps. I've looked at the facts. I've tried to group, like, even though, as you may have noticed, that like this question had like public and private, and so did this one. But even though they were kind of in the same answer, I took those pieces of information apart, those facts apart, to see, okay, this is mostly focused on public, this is mostly focused on private or residential where they lived, and this one's a whole separate category of temple. So I kind of can find those groupings. My question categories were a little different than what I just chose to do, but I think the way that my research is kind of going, I like that this idea of kind of seeing like the different uses of the public versus private, and then the temples, and like I said, maybe a fourth category of construction. So now I think I have an idea. When I continue to research, I have a better chance of knowing what I should be looking for. So when you are ready to do this step, as you see, it's kind of challenging. So it's something that you may want to make sure that you're ready for. Down here, there's a box that says your turn. So you can kind of see my categories and my facts broken down. And you can try this with your topic. Good luck.